Today I'd like to show you a French seam, which is a great seam for children's wear, lingerie, and for working with fabric like chiffon on this ballet skirt. It's a strong seam, which is why it's good for children's wear, but it's also a seam that can be more or less invisible and enclose all the raw edges. For a French seam, you would put the wrong sides of the fabric together, which is the opposite to a normal seam. This doesn't really show, which is why I've labelled them, but it's a good thing to get into that habit because some fabrics will definitely have a right and wrong side. I'm going to stitch a 3/8 of an inch seam. I'm using the guide on the sewing machine, but if you're doing more than a sample, if you're doing a lengthy seam like on that chiffon skirt, you would probably need to baste it because chiffon is a slippery fabric and you don't really want to pin it and have to stitch over pins. That's not a good idea. So this I can just hold, it's such a small amount. So that's the first stage, a 3/8 of an inch seam. I'm going to trim this down now to an 1/8 of an inch. You can vary the amount if you want a super skinny seam, a little bit wider. I did on that skirt, but it needs to be trimmed down. So I'm doing what I think is about an 1/8 of an inch. And then we need to do a little bit of pressing. Before you press any seam open, not just a French seam, it's a good idea to press the stitching into the fabric. It just makes it turn so much better. The next stage of this, we are going to press the seam just to one side, making sure that I don't get a ridge on the wrong side rather. So I'm going to press it from this side as well. It's not open, but it's pressed to one side. So right on the stitching. So for the second stage, rather than press this and it not being very accurate, I'm kind of finger pressing it so that the stitching is on the edge there. Then I'm going to baste it. You can see the edge inside, the raw edge, but I'm going to baste it a little bit below, making room for my second row of stitching. And if you're making a garment, it is actually worth investing the time in doing some basting, because then you'll only stitch it once. And these sort of chiffon, organza type fabrics are very difficult. You need to give yourself all the help you can. I am stitching just a little bit inside of my basting stitch, and the idea is that you enclose the raw edges but you don't have any of the raw edges showing on the right side, but you're just outside of them. The basting, and then Here we have the right side with the French seam on the inside, totally enclosed, no wispy ends showing, and I'll just give it a final press. Again, press the stitching into the fabric first. Press the seam in one direction, depending on what garment you're making. You can choose the direction from the right side, and then from the wrong side. Normally you would use a matching colour thread. This is a contrast, so it can be seen clearly as a demonstration. And there's your French seam.